On this episode of Buff's Garage, I'm giving Fred the little farm truck Mo power. Woo! Okay, I got my analytics back from YouTube. I actually sent them a message saying, hey, my views have dropped. Are you not notifying my subscribers that I've got videos up? And they said, oh, well, you know, only 1,800 of you actually have your notification bell pressed. So if you could just drop down there, hit the notification bell, that would be helpful. But views are down. And if things don't change, I'm gonna lose the shop. And I can blame the YouTube algorithm, I can blame current events, I can blame a lot of people. But I talked to my YouTuber friends, and the ones that are successful said, just make better content. So with practically no money and limited resources, I'm gonna take the worst part of this car, which is this 318 Mopar engine, and I think I'll put it in here. Now, the last time you guys saw the Datsun 520, it actually got really good views on YouTube. I'm very proud of this truck and myself, quite frankly, for pulling off a okay video for one where the truck died right outside of the shop, and I don't know what's wrong with it. And I don't know if you know anything about Datsun 520s, but parts are nearly impossible to find for these. And so a lot of guys are just swapping the engines out with like a newer Datsun or Nissan engine, and that keeps that truck on the road. I'm not doing that. The truck is not in perfect shape. It was an old farm truck. That's evidenced by watching the video, which I have a link down below. It sat in Texas for a very long time. And then it ended up in Oklahoma, where I picked it up with a title for like $700 maybe. We got it running. We did get it running, and we drove it at least out the door. But the clutch master cylinder isn't working, the brakes weren't working. I bought parts to fix those things, but I may not need the clutch, and I'm guessing I'm going to need better brakes. Well, it's time to clear out the shop. I got to pull the Volare in first, extract that situation, and put it into here. Now, before all the haters come on here and say, we really like the race car, but don't you worry, I believe there's a solution for this car that will finish it properly so that it can earn its hood badging that isn't there. So if you remember, I was trying to build like a rusty replica of the old Mopar with the 360 on the hood. Well, it doesn't have a 360. And since I don't have a 360, it won't have one for a bit. The weakest part of this car is actually the engine in it. So I'm gonna pull it, put it in the weakest part of that truck over there, and make that one awesome so that we can make this one awesome on another episode.
No, down.
And this is pretty much what it looks like every time we sit down to have a snack or a meal. Nova refuses to eat her own food. This is Nova. She's our about 18-month-old boxer. Boxers are playful. They like to have fun, but they're also kind of food hogs. And what's funny about boxers, especially Nova, is no matter how much food you leave out for her on a daily basis, she will forego her meal simply to wait for us to feed her human food. We want Nova to be happy and healthy, but at the same time, we don't want her to be begging for food every time we sit down to eat. But ever since we got Sundays for dogs, we don't have that problem. For Nova, that we've never had to wait. Really, right now? You have to do that right now. Just opening the box and seeing the bag, you can tell she's already happy. She's licking the bag. She completely wiped the plate clean and hasn't been distracted by our food. She gets her human grade food right out of the package. Sundays for Dogs is made of high quality ingredients, and it's human food. Humans can eat it. But like look at her. She absolutely loves it. She's still looking for more. So click on the link below to let your dogs try Sundays and fall in love. If you click on the link below, sundaysfordogs.com/buffs, you get 50% off your first order, or use code BUFFS at checkout. I want to thank Sundays for Dogs for sponsoring this video and giving Nova a new dog food to fall in love with. Now I can eat my snack in peace. You know, the carburetor still sticks. It needs some adjustment. I might just try to save up and buy a better carburetor, but it fired up, got in here. Fuel line that runs to the gas tank is clogged again. So rather than fix it, let's just take this out and put it in a Datsun. Don't scratch the roof. Just kidding, I don't care. Any scratches will instantly be fixed by parking it outside and letting it rain. Okay. Normally I'd comment on the side-by-side noise, but it's my neighbor's golf cart that he picked up for next to nothing, tinkered with it, and he's got it running. Good on him. That's exactly what we're trying to do, is take something that doesn't work that somebody else is getting rid of, make it work again, and then use it. So he can rev all he wants in the background. Speaking of revving, this thing revs to the moon. So the old truck talk, edel walk, whatever you want to call it, carburetor needs some help. But right now it's less important. What's more important is let's get this thing out of here. At some point or another, this thing's had a leak. Definitely looks to be oil from the engine. Let's hope it was the intake and not like a rear main, because I'm not going to fix it. You know, for the most part, the engine's pretty clean, but I'm going to grab some aerosol super clean, hit everything that looks dirty. We're going to get all this crud off of it, and then we're going to strip off anything that's left over from the lean burn, smog system, all that. We're going to just get it all cleaned off. We bought this cheap electric pressure washer, the cheapest one we could find. And I just kind of did the floor with it. Did a pretty good job. So let's see what it does with the engine. Mostly the transmission.
Yamaha comes through.
Yeah. I have the best neighbors. Well, here it is, guys, the 1966 Datsun 520 that I got running and driving after sitting for decades in another episode of Buff's Garage. And I love the fact that it's just a cute little truck that I got running, and I was going to use it as a, you know, going to the parts store truck and heading over to the convenience store kind of thing. But then something happened. Either I lost the starter or the engine seized up, any of which was possible. Parts for this truck are available, but they're hard to find and kind of expensive for what they are. Datsun guys like to take this engine out and put one in from like the 70s version, like the 700s trucks, and apparently you can bolt things up, and now you got a lot more horsepower and a little bit more reliable engine that you can actually find parts for. But if I'm going to get me a 70s Datsun, I'm going to keep it because I love those trucks. And this one I have a great fondness for. And if you remember, we named this one Fred. I kind of went through all the documentation and the horse medicine and the shotgun shells and everything else in the truck. A name stuck out to me and I called him Fred. So Fred the little farm truck is about to get V8 power. Just enough power to actually have fun with. So I guess I need to get started. Probably gonna break some stuff. Not a lot of room in there. So definitely seeing issues with the firewall. We're gonna have to cut that out, which means all the stuff on the inside will have to come out. This is for the brake system, and I don't think this level of brake is going to be good enough anyway. I do have a new master cylinder, but we'll have to figure something else out on the brakes. Pretty sure the steering shaft's going to be in the way. Maybe not the steering box, but definitely the steering shaft. So we'll have to figure out something there. Here's the old motor mounts. Here's the old horns. Aren't they cute? Maybe it'll slam this thing down like I wanted to do to begin with, just from the weight of the engine. As long as it doesn't taco or fold in half, we're good. Might as well clean it up.
As can be, my heart beats for the hard land, smack in the middle of the land of the free. I said it once, say it again. Know how many times I told you I know this stuff because I'm from the great state of Oklahoma.
Thanks, Becca, for getting a power washer. I'll get right on the siding after I do this.
I said it once, say it again. Know how many times I told you I know this stuff because I'm from the great state of Oklahoma.
So I made the mistake of trying to pull the steering column. Went ahead and got the brake master cylinder and the clutch master cylinder loosened. I'm going to have to release them from the inside at the pedal. But that column doesn't come out. I did a little research online and found out the only way it comes out is I have to remove the steering wheel, and I guess the turn signal stock, unbolt it here and bolt it from the steering, and then it comes out the front. What a pain. I also tried to take the fenders off, thinking that the inner fender well and all that could be removed and I just have a nice open front. Well, guess what? That's part of the cab structure. These are just decorative on the outside. So I could take them off, but it doesn't really gain me anything. And then this core support, again, is part of the structure. So to remove the core support, I'm going to end up having to cut it. So I'm going to try to avoid that for now. So remind me of that later when I get the Sawzall out and just cut it off. Went ahead and grabbed my steering wheel puller. I didn't really need it, but this thing is so fragile, I didn't want to crack it any worse. Like, it's not great. feel like there's still a lot I'm gonna have to take out. Probably gonna have to cut off these engine mounts here because they may be close to where the 318 mounts in, but I haven't figured that out yet. Well, without getting the death wheel in here and clearing the rest of it, I've got as much out that I could get. Now, doing some preliminary measurements where I need to cut the firewall about 21 inches, somewhere in there. So I guess at this point it's time to clear off that firewall, pull out all that mud and farm stuff, probably go ahead and pull the seat out and start cutting. If there was any question that this was a farm truck, that's all mud. I need some acorns. A few things in here. A couple of lug wrenches, looks like an old bearing. Broken alternator bracket or some kind of bracket. Big machete. Might just keep this around, this might be handy. Fred the farm truck. What could go wrong? I'm sure it'll be fine. Kind of messed up. I cut through part of my plate. That's my VIN. So I'll have to figure that out. Now, if there's anything that we need shape-wise to put back in place, we've got extra metal. So much more room for activities. Well, here we go. It's up in the air. We've got an opening in the truck. One thing I want to point out here is let's measure this oil pan. It is about 8 inches across. We come over here. This one is about 8. Yep, about 8 inches across. From that perspective alone, things should fit. Now, from the oil pan up, I take no responsibility for. All right, we've started our journey. Hey, get off the fender. Don't scratch my patina. Okay, Fred the farm truck, I'm going to need you to take a deep breath and just relax. It's going to be okay. Think happy thoughts. Just guide her in there. Ooh, careful. Well, at least the transmission's giving us lots of lube. This would be so much easier without that core support. Oh, quit complaining, it's not that big. Here it comes, Fred. Hang in there, buddy. There we go. Now you gotta go in right there. Lift up a little bit. She is close. I just don't want to hammer the core support, but I may have to. In. Come on. Ooh. Something shifted. I don't want to take the water pump off right now, but my exhaust manifold right here is touching. Just to point out, this is where the steering shaft went. Brakes was over here, clutch is over here. Things are tight. Alright, so we're hitting here as well. I didn't take enough out of the firewall, dang it. I should have taken it all the way to the inner fender here. See if we can go a little farther. As you can see, where a small little 4-speed transmission was, is now this, what is it, the 904? Yeah. All that cleared. All this is cleared. Even my cross member down here cleared. I just need more out of that firewall and maybe a little bit more out of this one. Let's see what I can do. I literally need 1/8 of an inch to clear that. I can pull it off. It's a farm truck. You're not gonna maybe notice. Maybe you will. I would not want to change that starter. So the whole thing needs to go back probably 3 inches. Now you know the best part about all this? We got to pull it back out to figure out the motor mount situation. Man. The engine mounts from the Datsun almost directly line up with the engine mounts on the Mopar. Now even though I need to go back at least another inch, which I'll have to do by clearancing that firewall just a bit more, it's gonna be close. Well, I did just a little more trimming on this side and that side, probably more than I needed to, but I can always build that back. The main issue is I'm gonna have to pull the motor side of the mounts and figure out some kind of mount, because that's from the 4-cylinder on the frame of the Datsun, and I think I can adapt to that a motor mount to then fit onto the engine, but I need the engine to come down probably at least 2-3 inches. And you're already asking where you're going to put the radiator. I haven't figured that out yet. Let's just get the engine in and we'll worry about the rest later. So there's the starter. And in theory there is a lot of clearance for the starter back up in there. Boy, would I hate to change it. Same for the oil filter. That's gonna suck. Doable, but gonna suck. Now to all the naysayers who said it wouldn't fit, proof. Yeah, I know. I have no steering. I have no brakes. I have no gas pedal. I have no firewall left. Fine. Okay. Do you feel better? Let's be clear. People have been putting big engines in small things for a very, very long time. John DeLorean did it when he said, hey, let's put this big V8 in this little bitty Le Mans. And that gave birth to the GTO muscle car. So is this like a muscle truck? Now that's already been taken. Maybe we'll call it Fred, because that's his name, the little farm truck. Kind of like, you know, the little engine that could. He's the little farm truck that will do burnouts. Okay, so the main Hey, calm down. So I went ahead and pulled the engine back out, well, engine and transmission, for a couple reasons. I needed to relief cut this firewall a little more because I didn't have room for my distributor. I think what's going to end up happening is most of this metal will come out, but it's supposed to be your fresh air intake. Well, it's not going to be now because it's going to be all engine. Despite my grand effort and that fancy little pressure washer there, it's cleaner and it looks really good on camera. But see these spots? Like this is from the battery. I did round my corners though, look at me go. Anyway, I'm thinking for the underhood side and the frame, gonna go ahead and just shoot her satin black, call it good. Put the hate in the comments below. So I'm painting up the engine bay with this Rust-Oleum satin enamel. I like the satin over the gloss, and flat just seems, I don't know, unexciting. But the whole point of this is we're going to create the little jewelry box, right? And when you open the hood, you'll see the prize inside, which isn't that impressive, but it'll look cool in here. You guys know I'm no expert painter, but I can take something that had color and make it black. Not bad. Okay, the engine bay is all painted and clearanced, and the engine and transmission are ready to go back in. Just keep pulling. It's like it just wants to go back in there. Breaking stuff. Breaking stuff. That's an easy fix. You need to get out of there, coil. I'm going to look for a short nose water pump. I know they make them. They've got electric ones. Hopefully they have belt driven ones. Yep, that is as far back as it goes. I have about an inch or two to come down. She's tight, but there's clearance. Plenty over here, which actually will help once I figure out where the steering shaft's gonna go. So here's what I'm thinking here. I got this rectangle stock out of my pile in the corner, and this is the motor mount off the Plymouth. Fits fairly good. I mean, we're talking about just getting it close here, because at some point I might want to try to figure out how to make a rubber mount for this. So what I kind of need to do is mark out where this needs to be, and then make a line like that, and basically cut that so that it opens up, and then we'll figure out how to gusset it. So I went to pull out my cutoff wheel and I was about to pull the grinder off of it, and I noticed it was floppy. So I plugged it in and gave it a little vroom, and there's no engagement. I don't know if you can see this or not. The actual screws have worked their way out, and I tried to see if another screw would fit in there. It's a 4mm. I think it's 4mm by 0.7. And I think the threads are stripped. So this dang Craftsman die grinder that I've been using as cutoff wheel has been in my toolbox for probably, I don't know, almost 20 years now. It's really sad because I've cut a lot of projects with this, but it really slows me down. So I'm gonna have to go find something different. Yeah, go buy some merch. Holy cow, guys, we're back in business with this 20 volt cordless. I've always wanted one. I could have bought the cheap plug-in one, but I just don't think it's going to be the same quality as the one that lasted me 20 years. But holy moly, it's expensive. So like I said before, grab some merch, hat, sweatshirt, t-shirt. I need about 11 or 12 of you to purchase a hat or a shirt, sweatshirt, even some stickers, something. I'd appreciate it. That's expensive. Okay, so I'm in the middle of making my new motor mounts, and honestly they're going to be good. I'm going to get this bent into the shape I need it to be. We're going to make some triangle pieces and use them as gussets. That'll help support everything. This is going to be super strong. And maybe at some point we'll figure out a way to not have it hard mounted. But that, I can't wait. I'm too excited. I want to hear this thing run. So I just threw a couple of pieces of flat bar in there, bolted them through. Is it right? No. The way I'm working on these motor mounts will be better, but I've got it in there, and I just want to hear it run in the truck. So let's just get this engine stand out of here. Need to get this lift plate off. All right, I gotta go get my GM electronic ignition thing out of the Desert Mopar. And then we'll get that cap put on. Hook up our coil, hook up our fuel. Oh, starter. Yeah. Vroom, vroom. Making some temporary battery cables here. The ones that are on the engine aren't great, and the ones that came off the Datsun were definitely not great. So I'll just make new ones because we got to relocate the battery. There's just no room, surprisingly. But this will give me power and ground to the block. I've got my HEI grounded to the block and then to the HEI. I've got it ran to my coil and to my distributor. Now I need power to my HEI, so we'll run that around, and that'll be my kill switch. All right, we're this close. Well, let's see if I know anything at all. There's some spark, some starting fluid, my starter. I want to point out this was brand new out of the box. What junk. Oh yeah, I have no coolant, or radiator, or fan, or any of that. Well, there you go, it's alive. Went ahead and let it cool down a little bit. Let's try her one more time just because. Here we go. folks, in a little less than a week, you can take 2 cars and make them into one. Why? Well, the poor little Datsun needed a starter. Couldn't find one. Didn't want to try to track down somebody to rebuild one at this point. And I just needed something fun. And what's more fun than stuffing a V8 into a tiny little truck? Now, we still got issues with steering, exhaust, radiator. Don't get caught up in all that. This is all about having fun. And I've got to tell you, this last week has been really fun. I pulled the engine and transmission out of that Desert Mopar in just a few hours, got it all out, cleaned up, got the truck in, pulled its engine and transmission out, got it all cleaned up, streamlined everything, got this engine dropped in, shaved off all the little bits so that everything would just slide right in. Bet you didn't think that was going to work. I've got to buy an oil filter relocation kit. I've got to buy a short water pump, radiator, all kinds of things. But you know what? That made it all worth it right there. Now, I promised you some burnouts. So if I can get this drive shaft figured out in the next couple of hours, I think I can make that happen. If you like this kind of content, make sure to hit like and subscribe. Drop a comment down below. Wow, that is not straight at all. That's bad. Oh, so close. If I don't show you this, you'll never believe it. But I kind of eyeballed it, so I left a couple of inches here. I deburred everything. Look at this. How great is that? Now, put that right where it needs to be. Now go ahead and comment because it's good for the algorithm, but also understand this is just for one thing, to make the rear wheels, plural maybe? I don't know. We're going to make the rear wheels turn, and that's it. I will get the specs and order a custom drive shaft once I figure out what I'm doing. And then when we blow that rear end up, we'll order a new drive shaft for whatever rear end we put in it. To say I'm having fun is absolutely an understatement. So I've watched somebody professionally build a drive shaft before, and let me tell you, this ain't it. So, if doing it the wrong way upsets you, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. For the rest of you, stick around. Things are about to get stupid. Now, thanks to Chris Birdsong, I've learned you must clean your part really well so that you get a good ground. You want that current to flow in between the parts. And by cleaning it, I just hit it with a wire brush, so it's not clean at all. And yes, this is just a 110 flux core Chinese welder. Should I get a new one? Sure. Can I afford it? Absolutely not. You know, there's some decent welds in there. And then there's not decent welds. I think it'll hold. I was trying to keep the floor clean, it just didn't work. So yeah, remind me I'm gonna put some transmission fluid in it. Oh, slid right in. Okay, this side's gonna be hot. Every project, you gotta kind of pick your battles and say, what can I get accomplished? And sometimes you just need to hear it fire up, or you need to make the headlights work, or something. Find something to accomplish. Because at the end of the day, you want to feel like you did something besides stare at your project on jack stands. Just find a goal. Okay, I only have this many hours. What can I get done today? Now, if I would have really hustled, I probably could have done this in 3 days. And I'm not saying I didn't do it quickly. I'm just saying, you know, towards the end of the day, I'm ready to eat. I'm ready to take a shower, go to bed. Like anybody is. Man, that thing's still very hot. Oh, do not touch my face. That would hurt. All installed. Let the stupidity begin. Go ahead and top off this transmission fluid. We lost a lot. I don't know how much it needs. Let's be clear. I'm going to end up having to pull this again at some point, and we're just going to lose it all over again. Let's fire it up and see if we can't get some gear motion. Well, this is where I need a camera person, but I've got it up on jack stands on the front. Let's hope it doesn't get enough traction to fall off and land on me. Let's do a burnout. It had both wheels going. This thing's gonna be fun. Oh yeah. Stay tuned to the next Buff's Garage, where I dig back into this and see if I can't get it roadworthy, or at least moving and stopping on its own. Make sure to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching Buff's Garage. And I don't know if you... That's my fault.